All right, welcome back. I'm Fredricka Whitfield. So just hours ago, Marco Rubio reiterated somewhat more reluctantly that if he does not win the nomination, he will stand by his party and its eventual winner.
I still, at this moment, continue to intend to support the Republican nominee, but it's getting harder every day.
Let's talk about this. Joining me once more, political science professor and politics editor for TheRoot.com, Jason Johnson, and CNN political commentator and Washington correspondent for The New Yorker, Ryan Lizza. All right, welcome back. Okay, so Ryan, what did you see in Marco Rubio there? Well,
I mean, his campaign is actually tweeting out that footage. So this is not like it was a stray moment. This is. They want everyone to know that Marco Rubio is obviously having serious reservations about supporting Donald Trump if he's the nominee. If you look at the sort of wing of the party that Rubio is from, the people who he's come up with, the people who he's relied on advice from, especially on foreign policy, those people are the core of the Never Trump movement. Especially in the the so-called the most hawkish foreign policy leaders in the Republican Party, sometimes described as neoconservatives. They, Rubio sort of has associated himself with that crowd, and they are the diehard anti-Trump people right now in the sort of intellectual class of the Republican Party. So I think he's looking at what's happening at these rallies. He's looking at the condemnation that's coming, frankly, not just from the media or from liberals and Democrats, but from Republicans. And he's saying he's having, to me, it looks like someone with grave doubts about the willingness to support Trump if he's the nominee.
And so, Jason, does it not seem that the Republican Party was starting to really try to gather around Marco Rubio, hoping that he was the one?
Right.
He was the non-Trump candidate, the one to give Donald Trump the biggest fight because the establishment, that's not their guy.
Right.
They don't want him. So now, though, it's quite the quandary. What is the party to do to consider? How are they strategizing if Marco Rubio is not the one to, save the party from Donald Trump? If that's been what the effort has been, then what?
They don't really have an option. Marco Rubio, he's not Neo. He's not going to save them all from the evil Trump. It was never going to happen. I don't think Marco Rubio was ever that strong a candidate. And when you literally have your own campaign, jokingly or not, saying, hey, vote for the other guy to block Donald Trump, that doesn't make any sense. You're either trying to win or you're not trying to win.
In fact, let's hear that, because that's essentially what we heard from Marco Rubio. Listen.
If a voter in Ohio is motivated by stopping Donald Trump and comes to the conclusion that John Kasich is the only one who can beat him there, then I expect that's the decision they'll make. I can tell you that in Florida, I'm the only one that can beat Donald Trump. And whether someone supports Ted Cruz or John Kasich, if you vote for them in Florida, you're in essence voting for Donald Trump. And if a voter reaches the same conclusion in Ohio, then I think that's what they're going to do as well.
So are you joining forces with John Kasich?
I've never talked to John Kasich about this. You asked me a question. I'm giving you my observation. Clearly, John Kasich has a better chance of winning Ohio than I do. And if a voter in Ohio concludes that voting for John Kasich gives us the best chance to stop Donald Trump there, I anticipate that's what they'll do.
This race for the White House has been filled with lots of surprises, this being the most recent one. So what is happening within the GOP when they hear their candidate say something like that?
They're giving up. They're giving up, and it's kind of like when you go into the Super Bowl and you ask the quarterback, which team do you want to face? They always say, I'll face whoever. Marco Rubio is like, no, I want to face the guy I can beat. They're admitting that they cannot stop Donald Trump. And the problem with all of this is they wasted so much time kissing up to Donald Trump or dismissing him as a real option that they failed to actually run effective campaigns. And now there's a good chance he's going to have the most delegates, even if he doesn't hit the number he needs.
So Ryan, of course, the party wants the party to win. They want to see a Republican in the White House. But this is so extraordinary because we're talking about a movement within the party to say anybody but this guy, even if this guy is the one who stands the best chance of getting closest to the White House.
Yeah, and I agree that obviously Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and John Kasich and the whole series of Republicans who did not figure out how strong Donald Trump was last year. They made a huge error by not taking him on frontally.
How did that misjudgment
last
happen
summer and
in your
last
view?
fall? I think because they were not there. There were so many candidates trying to draw from the same pool of voters that were not really the Trump voters, that they were too busy beating each other up and fighting over that part of the electorate, and decided that Donald Trump would be a problem to face down the road. Well, now we're well down the road and they're facing him. I disagree that Rubio is giving up. I mean, in a sense, he's giving up because he's saying he can't win Ohio, but he's basically embracing the open convention strategy, right? This is the strategy, right? This is the only chance that Republicans have now to stop Donald Trump. It does not look like Rubio or Kasich or Ted Cruz. Never say never, but it doesn't look like their strongest option is to actually get a majority of the delegates and be the nominee that way. What they can do is deprive Donald Trump of having a majority of delegates before he gets to Cleveland for that convention in July. And that's really what Rubio is saying here. He's saying, look, we need the strongest anti-Trump candidate to win in Ohio, and that's Kasich, it's not me, and that will deny Trump a big cache of delegates. And I've got to do, Rubio's saying he's got to do as well as he can in Florida to win those delegates. That's their last-ditch effort.
All right, and Ryan, as you are talking, we continue to look at the live pictures now. Donald Trump's still talking there in that hangar in Vandalia, Ohio. Our Phil Mattingly